welcome, welcome, welcome to our show today. This is Bay to Bay, the television show for District 4 Toastmasters. Now, you may ask, what is Toastmasters? Well, just imagine thousands of people meeting in places from Monterey to San Francisco every day of the week, all times during the day, with one goal in mind: to learn to be better public speakers and leaders. That is Toastmasters. And inside Toastmasters, there is a wonderful program called Youth Leadership, and that will be our feature today. You are going to hear some wonderful students who are participants in our program. Youth Leadership, 8 weeks to change a young person's life. In those groups, they learn how to speak, they learn impromptu speaking, they practice evaluating each other, just like the big kids. And today you're going to hear 2 fine examples of those groups. Our first speaker, Madison, will be speaking from the Competent Communicator Manual, and her goal is to persuade. So if you will please give me a warm welcome for Madison with her speech, The Forgotten Ones.
Melissa Lechner's life did not have the happiest of beginnings. When she was only 10 months old, her mother died in a car crash, leaving Melissa in the hands of social services. Over the next 17 years, Melissa lived in a total of 10 different foster homes. Now, despite this difficult time in the foster system, Melissa was still a typical high school student, bright, optimistic, and eager about the future. She planned to go to college in Southern California to build a life for herself. However, all her dreams came to an abrupt halt shortly after her 18th birthday, when she became a legal adult and was forced out of the foster system. With nowhere to go and no one to turn to, Melissa ended up homeless, relying on local charities for food, and living in a sleeping bag on the sidewalk. She twice contracted staph infections from the dirt and bacteria in her new home. Unfortunately, Melissa's story is only one of many. In what is known as aging out, thousands of foster children across the United States have become too old for foster care and are left completely on their own. According to the U.S. Administration for Children and Families, there are approximately 510,000 foster children in the United States. Now, many of these children are able to reunite with their families, while others are adopted. However, each year, over 26,000 foster children turn 18, the age at which they are no longer considered foster children, but legal adults, and are no longer allowed to stay in the foster system. They are, in essence, evicted from their homes and left with no family, no home, and no future. The organization First Place for Youth described this phenomenon like this. Quote, "The foster care system is set up in such a way as to march young adults into long-term chronic homelessness." End quote. Now, Child Welfare Services has tried to help solve this problem by using transition plans and temporary housing. However, there's only so much the government can do. There's simply too many kids and not enough room, and space is quite limited. Let's look at the staggering results of this crisis. From the organization First Place for Youth in its California foster care statistics, 65% of all California aged-out foster youth face imminent homelessness. Of the entire California homeless population, about 30% are former foster children. And of California aged-out foster youth, only 38% have been able to hold down a job for a year, and only 1% have been able to graduate college. These are some of the staggering statistics surrounding this phenomenon. What is the solution to the aging out crisis? Well, right now, the best source of help for aging out foster kids are local, privately run organizations that can connect with kids on a personal level. They can give the individual support and guidance that these teens need. What's more, they can provide the support and community that will help kids keep going, even when the situation seems bleak, and even when the odds are stacked against them. In Northern California, First Place for Youth reported that its participants were 5 times less likely to be homeless at any point in the future, twice as likely to be employed, and 6 times more likely to be enrolled in college. And there are many other programs in Northern California with similar programs and similar results. You can find an organization near you by simply typing organizations for former foster children into any online search engine. You will quickly find many organizations like First Place for Youth. And you can get involved in the cause in numerous ways. First, you can volunteer as a mentor or counselor for former foster youth. Second, you can donate in-kind gifts such as blankets, household items, kitchenware, and other household items that can be used in their housing programs. And finally, you can donate to these programs financially. And whether large or small, your gift will help transform the lives of former foster children. The aging out crisis has been too long neglected in our society. Aged out foster kids have fallen through the cracks, slipped under the radar, and been quietly brushed aside. How much longer will we ignore this problem? How long will we sit idly by as a generation of former foster children struggles to survive? How much longer? And so today I ask you to join me in making this resolution. No more. No more. No more. Thank you.
That was wonderful, Madison.
Thank
you so much. Tell us, how long have you been in youth leadership, and what do you think you've gotten out of it?
I've just finished my 3rd session, my 3rd year of youth leadership, and I think the biggest thing that I've gotten out of it is just being able to be comfortable and confident in front of an audience. It's really given me a sense of that I don't have to feel nervous or upset before going into a speech, that I can just relax and be myself.
Fantastic, great. Now this year Madison's actually in one of my groups. You took on a new role, a real leadership role. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what you did?
Yes, I did. I asked to be the chairman of our group because I really wanted to get more involved in youth leadership. I really enjoy it. So I asked to take a more active role, and as chairman I open and close our meetings, I send out email reminders, certain things, I put together our schedule, our roster, and it was really helpful to me just to get a sense of how I can better lead and serve within the group and not just be another member of the group.
And you did a wonderful, wonderful job,
Thank
Madison.
you.
I want to thank you so much for making my job easy and for coming here this evening. So
You're welcome.
thank
Thank
you.
you.
Big hand. Now you've heard a wonderful, powerful, moving speech. Now you're going to hear our helpful evaluation. And to help us evaluate, to evaluate Madison's speech, please help me welcome Anusha.
Fellow Toastmasters and guests, first of all, Madison, your speech was mind-blowing. I personally feel that I completely got persuaded, and I hopefully can contribute to the foster children. I liked how you started your speech and introducing Melissa. And you had the perfect emotion and body language, expression, and everything in your face. And you had amazing gestures, and I liked how you walked around and were open with the audience. Probably one thing that you could work on is just the double start. There was only one double start. And other than that, your speech was just amazing. And I completely got persuaded. And I felt very bad for those foster children here. And I felt like I should immediately, pitch in and help them. So thank you, Madison.
Thank you, Anusha. Anusha, tell us how long you've been in youth leadership.
So I'm about to start my 3rd session.
Third session. Yeah. Okay, so you must like it.
Yeah.
Now, why do you keep coming back? A little specific of why do you keep coming back?
So I felt that now I became a little more open to the audience, and being secretary I learned how to be more responsible, and I have always loved to be like a leader, so I thought it was a great opportunity for me to be the secretary, and I loved youth leadership.
Well, you were also in my group, and I enjoyed having you. How old are you I didn't ask
I'm
before.
11 years old.
You're 11, great. Now, would you recommend youth leadership to other kids your age or even older?
Yeah, of course. I think it's a great club for any age.
Great. And when you give your next speech, any idea what you're going to talk about?
Probably something you need, like imagination.
Imagination. That sounds really good. Very good. All right. You've seen a wonderful evaluation today, something that everyone can do. Thank you so much for showing us how it's done.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. You've heard a wonderful evaluation, a wonderful speech. Now you're going to get a look into a wonderful Toastmasters club. You're going to see for a few moments a tape of the Redwood City Orators, one of our older, most successful clubs in our area. Please enjoy the view.
I'm a member of Redwood City Orators, and we meet at 7 a.m. on Friday mornings.
Well, our club does have a theme, and it's called Dare to Speak at 7 a.m. So we dare people to come and speak at 7 a.m.
And the fact that we meet at 7 a.m. in the morning is, for me, a really helpful thing because it means that it never conflicts with my day.
Good morning, fellow Toastmasters. Welcome to our meeting this morning.
Well, there are many different club cultures, and before I decided on taking up Redwood City Orators, I had actually visited several other clubs to see how their culture fit in with me, whether it was the time, the location, the group of people, the type of camaraderie that they had. That was important for me.
This is a community club as opposed to a business club, so therefore the topics are much broader.
Sarah Palin recently finished her book, and she entitled it Going Rogue, An American Life. Now, why do you suppose she chose that particular title for her book?
I love this. It's like family here.
Well, I certainly think that we are free to choose topics that might be considered sensitive in other environments. But because we know each other well, we feel free to express those kinds of things without concern about criticism.
We also thought that the world only was around for 4,000, 6,000 years, not long at all, and it was created for us.
Our second speaker this morning is David Ammon. And this is a non-manual speech, David?
As is the rule of our club, if you do have a non-manual speech, it is up to the evaluator to decide what you're going to be meeting as an objective. I got fed up one time with people who were just doing non-manual speeches. So I decided at the last minute when I was an evaluator for somebody, I thought, okay. And so I stood up and I said, well, so-and-so is going to be giving a speech today, and I'm their evaluator, and these are their objectives. And before I knew it, everybody else who had to evaluate a non-manual speech started following what I had already decided to do. So it's become a club tradition. And what that has done is actually brought people back into using manual speeches.
I was dating a lady and she was a member, and we were going out together, and she said, I'm going to Toastmasters and you're coming. I didn't have much choice in that.
Well, I had decided finally to start my business again and realized that I needed to, have an outlet that was helping me focus on presenting my business, to improve my presentations, and then also to keep me busy. So I decided, well, let's try Toastmasters.
My wife, Carmel, had been with the club for about a year, and she suggested that I join, and it seemed like a good idea, and so I just went ahead and joined Toastmasters at that point, and I have never looked back. I really, really enjoyed this experience.
Congratulations for the best answer to that question I've ever heard.
By the way, I did marry her, and she's now my wife.
Welcome back to Bay to Bay, the Toastmasters District 4 TV show. This evening we're featuring youth leadership, the hidden gem of Toastmasters. You've heard a wonderful speaker and a great evaluation. Now we're going to have two more. One speaker, one more evaluator from our youth leadership program. Our second speaker is Kimberly, And Kimberly's goal is to persuade with her speech, the title of which is Eating Humanely. Please help me welcome Kimberly.
Thomas Gray said that ignorance is bliss. I think this perfectly describes the average American's relationship with the food on his plate. Many people do not know or care where the food came from. For those who do know, they understand that it came from a dead animal, and they try not to think about it. The common misconception is that all animals live happy lives before they are slaughtered. This is in fact untrue, because 99% of all meat eaten in the United States comes from a factory farm, which I will detail later in my speech. There are a lot of things about the industry of farming meat that are bad in the first place. It causes pollution, land degradation, and declines in local biodiversity. Because it takes almost 7 kilos of grain to raise 1 kilo of beef, it is very unsustainable. There are also several health risks to this kind of farming for both the animals and the humans. Several diseases have been linked to eating large amounts of meat, including cancer, gum disease, and obesity. Animals also are frequently on antibiotics because of the way they are treated and the cruel conditions. But now we are faced with the problem of factory farming. Since the average person eats 173 pounds of meat per year, this amount has skyrocketed almost 100 pounds since just 50 years ago. Meat is now in demand at a higher rate than ever before, and so the meat, egg, and dairy industry have developed the fastest, cruelest ways to keep up with these numbers. They need to make it as efficient as possible and have turned farming into an industrialized and cruel process. After being born into the egg-laying industry, all male chickens are killed. The females are debeaked because they often develop aggressive behaviors. They are not allowed to perform natural chicken behaviors like death bathing, going outside, and being able to walk around. Many chickens live on no more than 1 sheet of paper their whole lives. Cattle, which are fed a grain protein diet instead of their normal grass diet, often develop too fast, and their limbs are not able to support their weight by the time they reach the slaughterhouse. Since the meat industry no longer has the welfare of the animals in mind, many people have turned to options like veganism and vegetarianism. 2 years ago, on a Sunday night, I sat down with my family and watched the movie Food Inc. It is a truthful and hard-to-stomach documentary on the way animals are treated before slaughter. It goes behind the scenes and shows the way the animals are mistreated. The government could mandate certain safety regulations, but because of the corrupt way some spots in the government are owned by people that have stocks in the company, this hasn't happened. After watching Food Inc., I promptly went from a meat-crazed carnivore to a vegetarian. I dropped all meats and eggs from my diet. Here's my challenge to you. Next time you go to the grocery store, look for food with labels that show reduced cruelty, like organic, hormone-free, free-range, and grass-fed. Although these aren't perfect, they at least show the meat industry that this is what you want. Every time you buy something, it's like voting with your dollar. You need to tell the meat industry what you want, and you wouldn't pay for someone to do this to an animal. But every time you buy meat, you are showing them that you will. Fellow Toastmasters, I hope you feel empowered, and next time you go to the grocery store, you make the right choice. Turn your ignorance into knowledge, because knowledge is power. Thank you.
Thank you, Kimberly, for a powerful speech. You want to tell us a little bit about what motivated you to do that. So what I liked about your speech is you didn't say everyone needs to become a vegetarian. Is there a reason why?
Well, I think it's not feasible that everybody's going to drop meat, and I've talked to a lot of people that love meat so much. And so I think the easier way to persuade people is to tell them smaller steps they can make to actually reach an attainable goal. So.
Good plan, very good plan. Now, how long have you been in youth leadership?
About 2 years.
2 years?
Yeah.
2 years now. Why do you keep coming back?
I really like it, and our club has a really inviting atmosphere, and I never really get time to practice in a public with a lot of people, and so it gave me a good chance to do that.
Okay. Now, will you be coming back next year?
Yeah, I hope so.
All right, very good. And when you come back next year, what are you going to speak about?
I'm not sure yet, but probably language experience I'm going to have this summer.
And I know that you speak another language?
Yeah.
French?
Yeah.
French?
Yeah.
Okay, fluently? close.
Yeah.
Pretty close. Okay. Oh, great. Now, some of your friends maybe don't know about youth leadership. Do you have a plan to maybe share with them something about youth leadership? What would you tell the kids who haven't joined yet?
I would tell anybody who's nervous about public speaking that it's a really comfortable environment, and we have a good time to meet, so it doesn't conflict with school, and it's really fun.
Great. Well, thank you so much for a wonderful job.
Thank you.
Look forward to the next one. Give a big hand. All right, so now you've heard a very powerful speech. We're also going to hear another evaluation from another member of youth leadership. Please help me welcome Sandra.
So, hello everyone. We just heard another great speech. I have to personally say that it was really a very moving speech, mainly because I like your posture, first thing, because you stand very still. You're very confident, clear, and loud when you speak. I could focus my attention on you. I wasn't diverted by any other sort of pacing around or fidgeting, so that was one of the great things about the speech. The second thing was your choice of quotes. The first thing I noticed when I heard your speech was your quote that ignorance was bliss, and it gets your mind thinking about, oh, what do Americans today think about? What do they really care about? Do we actually pay enough attention to those things that are important in our everyday lives? So that was another great thing. You have some great statistics inside your speech about how many people support eating meat mainly because they can't get enough of it, or that a lot of animals have been brutally killed. One thing that I would advise you to work on is straying away from the notes. I noticed that a lot of beginners in the program, I know I shouldn't say this because I've just started too, but I've noticed that a lot of people like to rely on their notes to sort of read off them and use them as a crutch. And I guess as you get better and you become more confident in speaking out loud, you can sort of stray away and basically give a great speech without any notes, and it helps retain sort of eye contact and connection with the audience. So, yes, thank you.
Thank you, Sandra. Now, how long have you been in youth leadership?
I'm actually the one who's the newest here. I started halfway through in my freshman year, and I've done it for this whole year, so that makes a total of 1.5 years.
Very good. Now, what keeps you coming back to youth leadership?
I have to say, basically, the warm environment. When I first started, I was a little bit iffy about this club. I had never heard about it before, and I was like, oh, I'm not sure if I'm going to keep going, if I'm going to join. But after a few times coming here, it felt like something that I really like to do. I started to enjoy coming here, and it was something that I could look forward to instead of being stressed out all the time. And it was very helpful and warm environment. So.
Great. Well, that's fantastic. Welcome to youth leadership, and I hope you'll continue on.
Okay, thank you.
Big hand. Now, you've heard from the student side of youth leadership, but we have with us this evening one of our youth leadership coordinators, and we're going to hear from her some of her impressions of youth leadership. Please help me welcome youth leadership coordinator Ulla Gustafsson. Ulla, thank you. Tell us, I know you have many years of teaching experience. What attracted you to youth leadership?
About 5 semesters ago, school semesters ago, somebody asked me if I wanted to coordinate the youth leadership program at Gunn High School. And I jumped at it right away. I'm actually a teacher by profession. I've taught K through 12, college, graduate school, and also adult programs. So this was a fabulous opportunity for me to make a difference to young people who really need to learn and be comfortable speaking in front of a group. And the students that I have this semester and last semester and earlier than that, they have learned so quickly. Yes. And I don't have words enough to tell you how I admire them. They have learned vocal variety, they have learned body language, and they And they pick up on it so fast. And after a session, some of them will come up and ask me, how can I do it better next time?
Yes.
I mean, you can't ask for anything better.
Total inspiration from the kids. They keep us young, they keep us interested. I find the same experience to be true. So as the director for youth leadership for our district, I want to thank you so much for your participation.
You are so
welcome. I hope you will continue for a long time because we love having you working with us.
It's a privilege.
Thank you. Big
Thank
hand
you.
for Ms. Ulla. So, question for the audience. Did we have a good time? Did we? Yeah! Give yourselves a big hand. This was our first featured youth leadership program for Beta Bay for TV. We hope to make it a regular event, and some of you who came as evaluators, maybe next time you'll be speakers for us. And it was wonderful having you. It was absolutely wonderful. For those of us, the people in our audience, Toastmasters or not, youth leadership is an awesome program. 8 weeks to change a young person's life, to gain confidence, self-esteem, to learn how to organize, to present, because after all we know, as those of us who are adults, that's the person who can present their ideas the most clearly, the strongest, those are generally the people who will get heard. And that's what we do in youth leadership, helping these young people under the age of 17 to present their ideas and thoughts clearly. And it's an awesome program. I recommend it highly. If you want to know more about it, in fact, if you want to know more about Toastmasters, period, the website is d4tm.org. Please go, take a look, feel free. You can email, ask questions. We'll give you all the information you could possibly want. There are clubs available, youth leadership, all kinds of ways to get involved. So once again, thank you so much for watching Beta Bay, and we look forward to being with you next month.